Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Mini Trauma Talks. And we decided to do a segment on Mini Trauma Talks because there are so many bite-sized pieces that we can pull from each episode and just additional information that can help us as we are building our toolkit for recovering from trauma. Remember that trauma is an injury, so it's not your fault. So part of the mission for the Get Trauma Informed podcast is to help us to all become aware, and becoming aware will help us to understand the intricate details of what trauma really is and how it affects our everyday life, even in ways that we can't even think of. So let's talk today about emotional dysregulation, right? And what that is. It is a mental health symptom that involves trouble controlling your emotions and how you are with those feelings, right? To those that are around you, your emotions and reactions will seem out of proportion compared to what you're reacting to. So let's give an example of that, right? So if we are, say, even in traffic and people are reacting like way over the top. We hear about different things happening where people get upset and they start fighting, or they start shooting, or they start doing other things, and that is a part of being emotionally dysregulated, right? And so that's an example of, to those around you, your emotions and reactions. Now that's a big reaction when we talk about people get violent, but that is one of the reactions, and it's to the extreme one side and not the other. But it can be as simple as someone running their basket in front of you in a grocery store, and then you get this overwhelming sensation of emotions. So some of the signs of emotional dysregulation is uncontrolled emotion, and I can share that I've had those type of situations. I remember many years ago when I was called to speak, and all of a sudden, and I speak, it's something that I do, but all of a sudden, the room kind of, it felt odd, and my thought just disappeared, and so I had to get rid of the cards, had to take a deep breath, I had to re-regulate myself, and all in a few seconds, I had to recompose myself and get together. And it's a lot deeper than just the emotion that comes up when we all get up to speak, right? It's more than that. It is a emotional dysregulation from a deeper level. So some of the signs of emotional dysregulation is uncomfortable emotions. That's an uncomfortable emotion. Mood swings, overwhelming feelings, depression, self-harming behaviors, anxiety, and that's only to name a few. But we talk about on the Get Trauma Informed podcast, we not only talk about what the challenge is, but we're also going to talk about some ways for us to re-regulate, and I'll go back and I'll reiterate, it is an injury, right? And I think the thing of it is because it's invisible. People don't put as much weight on it when it is just as severe as if we break our arm or we have a physical injury itself, or it's internal. And that's a little bit challenging for, just like I said, for myself. They'll look at you and they'll see that you're composed and that you are, what seems to be put together, but you have all of these fragmented issues that are going on the inside that you are constantly working on. Because again, I go back to, it's an injury, not your fault. So let's talk a little bit about stress response and how and what this, dysregulation, what does it do? Only a part of your brain is working normally, if we want to say normal, right? So there are some other details or other workings that's going on in your brain. Judge Lynn Toller talked about it, and she she made it real clear. It's like something you have to come to grips with. And that's what this whole Get Trauma Informed Awareness movement is all about, because we must be aware of it so that we can understand how to re-regulate ourselves and to get rid of, like I said, the shame, the blame, all of those negative emotions and feelings that are assigned to situations such as, again, trauma not being our fault, but now we're back into recovery being our responsibility. So let's talk a little bit about, how do I re-regulate? One of the things that I think that I use, actually, and I think it's just so amazing, is music. Music is calming, right? So creating these new pathways and putting together your own toolkit is an amazing way to be able to help you to re-regulate and to people say snap out of it, right? Well, I'm going to change that. I want to change that into a positive. So snapping into a new pathway, a new way of operating, a new way of being conscious, right? So let's talk about these. Here's 10 different ways for us to re-regulate. Some may resonate with you and kick the other ones off the kick the other ones out. So number one, notice that you are triggered. And that's a big one. Again, the awareness piece. Pause, give yourself a minute, and then recompose yourself. Emotional reactions, right? Speak it out loud. What is this I'm feeling? I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling, overwhelmed. I'm feeling. So call it out, speak it out loud, right? Number three, make sure you are safe. Buy yourself some time to get re-regulated. Make sure that you're in a safe environment, or that you have allies that understand what you're going through. This is one of the biggie, because we tend to isolate, or when we've been through trauma or complex PTSD, like I said, for myself, we tend to isolate because we're embarrassed and we're ashamed, and we don't want other people to know what it is that is going on with us, when it's the opposite. If you put it out there, just like the Get Trauma Informed podcast, if you put it out there, you talk about it, you take your power back, right? And then the tribe around you, help them to understand what's going on with you, because again, you take your power back, right? Stump your feet on the ground. Put your feet down and feel the ground, right? Ground yourself, literally feel it, right? Walking outside in the grass, it helps you as well, getting your feet back into connection with the soil and with nature. Number five, breathe. 10 short breaths in, deep breaths in. Push your tongue against the back of your teeth. That's another way to reground yourself. It's about pulling yourself back into your body, because you feel sometimes like it separates, right? So you want to pull all those pieces back together. Push your bottom into the chair and feel your body. Number seven, eat a protein snack. Number eight, wash your hands in warm water and feel your hands, right? Feel it, because oftentimes it is a disconnection, right? A fragmentation that happens when trauma hits you. So you want to make sure that you are, again, grounding yourself. Reset your nervous system with a cold or cool shower. This increases your energy, right? And number 10, big hugs, right? If there's no one else around you to give you a big hug, give yourself a big hug. Hug yourself around your torso. Make yourself feel more grounded. You feel more alive. And one of the things that I learned when I was going through therapy and then going through some of my training, sometimes we have to feel from our feet up, like feel our toes, wiggle our toes, wiggle your feet, your ankles, go up to your legs, feel your knees, feel your thighs, and keep going up until you reconnect. And this is something that, I don't think that it's talked about or, enough. You can reground yourself. But again, awareness is the key. So once we are aware of it, then we can do something about it. So I want to leave you with that today. Emotional dysregulation. We can re-regulate ourselves. We can pull it all back together, and we can start to understand that it doesn't have to take us out of the game. It can help us actually to be stronger, because now we're more conscious and more aware. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if it has moved you in any way, and you feel the desire to help us out here in the Get Trauma Informed movement, then support us. Look on this episode or any of the other episodes, and there is a button there where you can support at whatever level that that you are comfortable with, but we look forward to giving you more information and actually bringing out more of the mini trauma recovery talks, because if we can pull it all together, we can be our best selves and we can live a better, well-rounded life. Alrighty, until next time, bye for now. It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you are collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.